Next, you're going to take spray baste and spray the batting with the spray baste. Place your outer piece of fabric on top and make sure there aren't any creases or wrinkles. Repeat with your other piece. And then you're going to take both pieces to the ironing board and press them. Now we're going to make the 1-inch grid squares. And we're going to take our ruler and line up this bias line along the bottom edge of the fabric. And the corner of the fabric will be at the 1-inch mark. And then take your Hera marker and press along that line to make a crease. And then you just move your ruler over and line up the previous crease line, and a 1-inch over from there, make another mark. And repeat this all the way across to the other side. Now we're going to make the lines going the other way. We're going to do the same thing. Line up our corner at the 1-inch mark and that other line at the bottom edge of our fabric, and use our Hera marker to make the crease, and then continue moving our ruler over, lining it up with the previous line and making a crease line 1 inch over until you are done making your creases all the way across. So it should look like this, and you're going to sew along these lines going both directions and do the same thing with your other piece. After quilting both pieces, they should look like this. Now we're going to trim the excess batting so our rectangles measure 6.5 by 10.5 again. Do this on all sides and repeat with the other piece. Now it's time to start assembling our pencil pouch. First, take a lining piece of fabric and place it face up. Then take your zipper and place that face up, aligning along the edge. And then take your outer piece of fabric and place this face down so the batting is facing towards you. And then take some clips and clip all the layers together, being careful that all of your edges line up. Next, you're going to sew along the edge here, and you're going to want to sew as close to that zipper as you can. So you're going to use your zipper foot and go nice and slow to make sure that you have a really straight seam. This is what the zipper foot looks like for my machine. After stitching along that zipper, if you open it up, this is what yours should look like. And now we're going to assemble the pieces for the other side. Now you're going to take your other lining fabric and place that face up. And then you're going to take your zipper and place that face up and align it along the edge. Notice that the zipper is going the other direction this time. And then you're going to take your outer fabric and place that face down so the batting is facing you again. And if you're using a directional print, you're going to want to make sure that they're going upright so that your patterns aren't upside down. Then you're going to clip these all in place and stitch along the zipper just like you did the first time. Now, if the zipper pull is in the way and affecting you from making a straight seam, you can lift up your fabric and move your zipper out of the way and then continue stitching. This helps that line to stay straight. after stitching, it should look like this. Take your lining fabric and your outer fabric and have that on either side of the zipper. And then you're going to take this to the iron and press it really flat. And then top stitch along the edge here. And don't skip this step. It's actually going to make a big difference in a step later on. So after doing that top stitching, it should look like this. And it should lay really nice and flat. Now this next step is super, super important. You cannot forget this step. You have to open your zipper, and you want it about 3/4 of the way open. If you forget to open your zipper, it will make another step when we turn the bag right side out impossible. So again, open that zipper. Next, we're just gonna cut off the extra zipper here. And again, just making sure that that zipper is open and pulled over about 3/4 of the way. We're gonna take our 2 outer pieces and line those up right side together, and our 2 liner pieces and line those up right side together. And here we want that zipper folding in towards the lining fabric, and then place a binder clip to hold that. And here, pushing that towards the lining fabric. And it should do that naturally because of that top stitching. And then we're going to place binder clips around the rest of the fabric. And we're going to leave an opening about 5 inches in the lining fabric. Once you've lined up all those edges and placed your clips to hold it in place, we're going to take pins to mark our opening, so we remember to leave this space not sewn. Leave that open. And place clips, and we're going to sew a 1/2 inch around our bag, leaving that 5-inch opening open. So after sewing, it should look like this, with this 5-inch opening. And next, I like to trim my corners to reduce the bulk. So I do that on all 4 sides. Now we're gonna work on our box corners. And so we're gonna take our hand and put it inside the bag to the corner. And you want to take your corner and push it out. It should line up the bottom seam of your bag with the side seam of the bag, like this. And your corner should make a 90-degree angle. So here I'm just moving this to the side to double check that my seams line up and my corner's 90 degrees. And then I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna mark in 1 inch from this corner here. So my point lines up on my ruler, and I'm gonna take my friction pen and mark in 1 inch and place a binder clip to hold that in place. And then I'm gonna do that same thing to the other corner. This is probably the trickiest part of the bag, so we'll walk through one more time. Make sure that it's a 90-degree angle and that your bottom seam and side seam line up. And then you'll take your ruler and make that mark. Make sure your corner is in 1 inch. And take your friction pen and make the mark and place your binder clip to hold it in place. And now we're gonna do the same thing for our liner pieces. So take this corner, line up our bottom seam, our side seam, make sure it's 90 degrees. And then we'll take our ruler and we'll make sure that that corner point is in 1 inch. It's a little bit trickier because of the bulk of the batting. And you want that horizontal line to match up with your seam, and then mark in 1 inch with your friction pen. Place your clip and do the same thing on the last corner. After you mark this last corner, you're going to take this to the machine and stitch along all 4 lines. So the stitching should look like this, and we are going to trim away about a 1/4 inch away from that stitch line. Trim off that excess fabric on all 4 corners. Our next step is turning our bag right side out, and we're going to reach our hand in that opening we left in the liner and turn our bag right side out. We'll push out our boxed corners. Keep pulling the fabric through. Careful not to pull stitches. And look at how nice the seam is on our boxed corner here. They line up beautifully. Keep pushing out the rest of the bag. And we're gonna get it laid out nice and flat so we can sew the opening in our liner closed. Box corners in our lining look terrific too. So because we stitched it, our bag should naturally want to fold inward. And we are just going to press that fabric of the opening in 1/2 inch on both sides, and then take it to our sewing machine, and we're going to stitch along the bottom of that liner about 1/8 inch in, all the way along the bottom. Here's what that stitching looks like. Our opening is all closed up. Now we're going to take our liner and push it inside our bag. Make sure our bag is pushed out here at the zipper. In our corners, everything is tucked in nicely. And your zipper pouch, your boxed corner zipper pouch, is finished! And I think it turned out terrific. I love how it stands up on its own. I love the quilting detail. And this would make a great gift for someone or for yourself. Have fun!